This is a normal 5-inch angle grinder trying to get inside this tight angle to grind the inside corner, and you can see it's not going to happen. This is a flat-headed grinder with the same flap disc on it, and it'll get there just fine. Today we're going to talk about flathead angle grinders and specifically how to make this one even better and how to deal with tight inside corners with your angle grinder. Okay, so I really like cordless angle grinders. I have a lot of them. My favorite cordless angle grinder is this one from Milwaukee because it's variable speed. The only problem is that it's a traditional sized angle grinder, which doesn't really leave you a lot of room to get into tight spaces. Recently, I picked up this little number. This is the Milwaukee flathead grinder, the low angle grinder. Very cool tool, super useful. The only problem is it's single speed. So before we talk about how useful these things are, I want to do a quick modification that I really don't understand why Milwaukee didn't do, how to make this one just that much better and that much more useful, especially when we're going to do some kind of finishing and some wire wheel work. So let's fix this tool quickly. So if you look at this grinder, the flathead grinder, and this grinder, you'll see that they're pretty much identical. The only difference is that this one has a little variable speed adjusting knob. That being said, the drive wheel section is also extremely similar. Again, the difference being that this one is flat and very slim for getting into tight spaces, and this one isn't. So, in my mind, there's no reason why I can't take the head off of this grinder and the head off of this grinder and switch them. Now, obviously, that would take one of my grinders that I prefer to be variable speed and make it single speed, but I think the versatility of this grinder with a variable speed motor is going to be well worth the kind of transition away from this one. So let's do that and see if it works. So they look very similar. The bodies look basically identical. This one's obviously pretty dirty. I'll probably blow this out with compressed air before I put it back together. And in reality, I don't see why the little motor can't just be swapped between the two. What's it going to care? Right? Yeah. Let's try it. The screws on the variable speed body were longer than the screws on the flathead's original body, but we'll put them back the same way. It's a T15 Torx screw that you're going to be pulling out. Okay, let's see if the grinder still works. Down on the low speed, up on the high speed. I think I just made Milwaukee's best angle grinder. So now let's see why you want a flathead grinder like this. Okay, so we've got an inside corner on 2 pieces of tube that's already been ground on the flat sides, and we want to do some work to that inside corner. Now, typically in a fabricating setting, I would do my best to avoid having to, deal with a weld inside that corner. And you definitely could get in there with a die grinder, but if you want a smoother finish that you would get with a flap disc, especially one of these. This is a Pferd Polifan curve, which has that rounded edge on it. If you wanted to get in there with a flap disc, you just wouldn't be able to get in there with a regular grinder. And I know the first thing people are going to say is, well, if you didn't have the guard on there, the grinder would fit. But here's the exact same grinder without the guard on, and you're still not getting there. So the flathead grinder is going to really be your kind of best option. Now, before we actually start grinding this, I want to talk about the other application for this grinder and the reason that I wanted to go ahead and make this variable speed, which is using a wire wheel. on an inside joint like this. A lot of times if you want to try to get rust off of something, or in this case, there's a little bit of kind of slag, a little bit of BBs in there. And let's say I wanted to leave this weld, but I wanted to make it super clean. I could get in there with a wire wheel really easily with this grinder. So with the variable speed knob that we've now put on this, I would turn this down low, and then I could get in here and we'll do a little bit of wire wheel cleanup on this inside joint. So even just the fact that I can get in there nice and tight, because this is so low profile, is super helpful. So now with this Polifan curved disc, with the unique feature of the abrasive wrapping around the edge, I've done a couple of videos about these, but this is really what's gonna get you in there and make this super clean. So let's grind this out a little bit. So super nice ground out inside corner using the Polifan curve and the flathead grinder. And what's nice is that if I want to kind of finesse this grind, I can just turn the speed down on the grinder a little bit. Since I made this variable speed, I can just turn the speed down on the grinder a little bit, which will actually help the consumable last a little longer and get me a little kind of finishing pass. So again, if I were to try to get in here with a regular grinder, denied. Easy. All right, so my experiment worked. I was able to switch the head from this flat-headed grinder to the variable speed body. And honestly, I think this was absolutely worth the money from swapping them. I bought this stuff. This isn't sponsored by Milwaukee, and it cost me about probably $400-ish to get both grinders, if I think about it in that way. I bought all the grinders on the table, and honestly, I think they're worth every penny. I really like the variable speed ones, and to have the flat head on it is going to just be super versatile. I also really love these Pferd Polifan curved abrasives. That's the ones with the curved flap disc around the end. I've made a bunch of videos about these, and I'm going to put links down in the description as to where you can find all this stuff. I found really good deals on some of these grinders on eBay, but you can get them at Home Depot, on Amazon, all over the place. So just hunt for the best price. And one of the things to keep in mind is I prefer a slide lock grinder. So the switch is a sliding locking switch like this. And then if you can't use those, you could get a paddle switch. But like I said, I like the slide lock. I think it is a little bit better for hand fatigue. I like that you can turn it on and kind of hold the grinder however you want. But some job sites, I know you need to have a paddle switch. Anyway, if you want to see how long this grinder lasts and if I ruined it because I switched the body and the head, follow me right here on Instagram at MakeEverythingShop. And if you enjoyed this video and it helped you learn about a tool that you've never seen before, subscribe to my channel. I do videos like this all the time, and I'm always sharing cool tools that are going to help me in my business, help me in my shop, and hopefully they help you too. I hope you enjoyed this video and you learned something, and I'll see you on the next video.